Welcome back, everybody, to the Law and Crime Trial Network. I'll be your host for the afternoon, Rachel Stockman, and we have a lot going on this Friday afternoon, so let's get started. A very powerful, a very emotional closing argument. Before we get to what Timothy Jones' family had to say, I want to bring in Michael Bachner, my guest for this afternoon, who was also listening to those replays of the prosecutor, the solicitor, as they call it, there in South Carolina. What did you make of his closings?
I thought it was a little over the top, candidly, and when you have facts like this, they kind of speak for themselves. And I know it's a prosecutor's job to be the kind of the conscience of the community, but death penalty cases are a peculiar entity. They are going to be appealed and appealed and appealed, and courts are looking for reasons sometimes, or at least to make sure that nothing would have improperly impacted the jury's decision-making process. And
could it too emotional of a closing by a prosecutor amount to something that would raise questions?
I guess in a hypothetical sense it could. I don't think it rose to that level.
Right.
But some of the comments, when a prosecutor makes comments that kind of inject, look into his eyes, things like that, that can be, it's iffy stuff. And yet, at the end of the day, you're looking to kill somebody. You know, it is the death penalty, and whether or not you agree or disagree, you are taking the life of another person, and you want to make sure it's all fair. So, a prosecutor's a job to hit hard blows, but never foul blows.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, those were some of the last words that those jurors heard before they began deliberating. Some other words that they heard before deliberating were the defendant's stepmother, who was presented by the defense. Several family members, in fact, took the stand on behalf of the defense, saying how horrible what happened was, but actually begging for the jurors to preserve Timothy Jones' life. Let's first listen to Julie Jones, the defendant's stepmother. It's a crucial phase of the trial. This is the death penalty phase, when family members of Timothy Jones actually took the stand on behalf of the defense. Obviously, they're torn up about what happened to these 5 children, but amazingly so, still seeing it, I guess, in themselves, to try to have some kind of empathy for him and trying to convince those jurors, Michael Bachner, to not put him to death.
Yeah,
is that effective?
Well, obviously it wasn't, right?
It wasn't in this case, yes.
And it goes to show you the level of, for victim impact, it sways the jury, but when the victims come and try and sway the jury for the defendant, it doesn't seem to often have that impact. It's not uncommon for jurors to put people to death despite the pleas of the victim. You know, the jury thinks they're speaking for the community and not for the victims.
Well, and it was interesting too, the prosecutor during those closings said yes, but a lot of these family members hadn't been with these children for like a year prior to when they were murdered, and we actually put on the teachers that had been with them in the school talking about the abuse and all these awful things that they faced. So you should take basically you should take into account their testimony as well.
Look, everyone's got their motives, everyone's got their biases and their reasons for testifying as it is. But still, the fact that it demonstrates this defendant has caring family who love him and care for him, and that they're trying to humanize him on some levels because what he did is so monstrous.
It certainly is. Let's now listen to more testimony from Roberta Thornsberry, who's the defendant's grandmother and the great-grandmother of those 5 children. From the defendant's own father on the stand on behalf of the defense in the death penalty phase, he's talking about how much, and it was really emotional, talking about how much he loved those 5 children. But then he is also talking about how he wants to make sure the jurors keep his son alive despite what he did and the guilt he feels over not intervening earlier. And then in the end there, something very unusual happened in court that I've never seen before. The defense actually asked for the father to remove his shirt in front of the jurors. And you saw, I think we have that video, hopefully we can show it again. You saw his naked chest and the tattoos of the 5 children there. Michael, what do you make of that tactic by the defense to ask this father to take his shirt off in front of the jurors?
Well,
there's the video.
Yeah, the theory obviously is that he loved his grandchildren so much that he didn't just carry a picture of them, he put a picture on him. And, I guess the impact showing, I love them dearly, more than anybody.
Couldn't you have taken photos and showed them to the jurors? Like, to have someone, it's very invasive to someone to stand up in court and take their shirt off.
It is, and look, it certainly is impactful. You know, we're talking about it and we understand that it's impactful, and I think the defense wanted to show just how much he loved him, that this is what he did, and he still wants to save his son, or not kill his son. But yeah, I think they're just going all to the wall on this. You know, they're figuring,
trying anything they can.
Yeah, with 5 kids deceased, they're trying to do everything possible and put up the mourning dad, etc. And I get it. And interestingly enough, they just went to look apparently at just what happened, and none of this stuff had much of an impact.
No, because they decided to go with death. But it is interesting in that this case is so unique, so horrible in that 5 children died, but unique in the sense, too, that you actually have the defendant's relatives also, in a sense, victims themselves, victims' family members, as they were all related to these 5 children. So it's kind of you have dueling emotions here and conflicted feelings about whether this person should be put to death. Okay, so hold that thought, Michael. We're gonna continue to listen to a bit more of the family testifying. And this is actually the mother of the 5 children testifying during the death penalty phase. Let's listen. Also powerful words from Amber Kaiser, the victim's mother, the mother of those 5 children, but you heard her off the top saying that she wants to spare his life. Michael Bachner, what did you make of her testimony?
I mean, I thought it was heartbreaking. She sounds like a fairly remarkable woman as far as trying to be fair and looking at the pain that this has caused everybody, and saying that she doesn't want to cause any more death to anyone else. And it's kind of like, you know, enough people have died, you know, even if it means Tim, there's just no reason to cause any more, certainly on her watch. And it's kind of heartbreaking that she had 5 who got killed by the husband and 3 who died through kind of natural causes, I guess, stillborn, et cetera. And it's just, you know, you got to wonder about her own health. Sometimes I look at her and say, how much pain can a woman or any person take? You know, you got to wonder. I hope she's taking care of herself, frankly.
Well, yeah, and you heard from the defendant's father, Timothy Jones Sr., talking about how he felt such guilt over what happened. I can only imagine the type of guilt, and there's some pictures of them, you know, the family members just so devastated. You know, I can't imagine what guilt she must feel, knowing that she left her 5 children in his hands and that he did such an awful thing. All right, so we're going to continue to monitor what's going on in this case. We have to sneak in a quick break, but we also have a development in the case against Robert Kraft when we return, so stay with us.